Welcome everybody to the DNM podcast. I'm Matty Cole and today I'm joined with the tech-savvy Haydn Stubler. This episode is brought to you by AppMD. AppMD is an easy-to-use and probably accurate app that helps you self-diagnose your own medical condition. Simply swipe right to match your symptoms and swipe left to skip. In a few easy swipes you'll find out if that lump, bump, itch, burning, random bleeding or pain is anything to worry about. Chances are it probably is. Once matched, you can directly message a doctor about your now labelled illness and receive messages of support, prayers, and sometimes medical advice on a bi-monthly plan. Just as well as we got the sponsor, because this morning I had a sudden severe pain on the right side of my stomach, and it hurts when I cough or walk. I haven't eaten much and I've got a bit of a fever, but I swiped my symptoms and it's calculating my diagnosis currently. For the meantime, it told me to take between 10 to 14 paracetamol, ibuprofen, or a mixture of other miscellaneous pills every hour. It says I should receive a diagnosis within 72 hours, so there's no need to go to a doctor. Brilliant. And after that I should receive a text from someone in the next month. Easy as. Now with a 13% lower chance of getting a cancer diagnosis, note that actual cancer chances will not decrease, go to appmd.edu.md.ac.ph and use the code ITHURTS to get a 99% off your premium subscription. Welcome to another episode of the DNM podcast, where we get deep and meaningful on topics in the hopes of starting the discussion. We're here to ignite a conversation or a dialogue. We hope that you talk to your partner, your friends, work colleagues, bus buddies, local corner store owner, local vagrant, and we hope that you ask them all about this topic and their ideas and opinions. Don't be afraid to start the conversation. And Hayden, we're officially up. We're live. Yep. We're on Spotify.
We are on Spotify and Applecast, and after a lot of pretending to know what I was doing about RSS feeds, I found an easy way to do it. So thank you, Anchor.fm, for making that process a lot simpler than it had to be.
Yeah, and I must admit that once Hayden showed me that we were on Spotify, I had this quite surreal moment where it was amazing to think that two nobodies, well, one nobody and Hayden, could publish themselves to be seen by the world. It was quite a surreal moment, to be honest. How do you feel? Yeah,
I was pretty stoked, actually. Like it was like 3 days of some proper hard graft and trawling the internet for the right information. But then once I found it worked, and like I was pretty stoked. Like once you see the official Spotify logo there and it says listen to on Spotify, and I was quietly stoked, which is why I sent it through you like ASAP.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if this was 40, 50 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. You couldn't just record something to share with the whole world. You'd have to, if you wanted to do anything similar, you'd have to get some kind of AM, FM radio transmitter, and then it probably goes 50 feet from your house, and, your neighbour just turns you off as soon as it turns on. So the fact that we can just get borrowed mics, laptops and headphones and just throw this together, but had the potential to be heard by anyone around the world, even in Ghana or Morocco or Huntley in New Zealand.
I don't even know if they got the internet yet.
Yeah, true.
Let's not go that far.
So it's a really surreal feeling that we had that capacity. This is so cool.
Well, bro, definitely. Like I'm stoked that it's out there. We're open to the trolls now, so trolls, feel free to troll. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
At least we'll get something. We haven't got anything back yet, so even some troll action would be kind of quite cool.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, yeah, I'm kind of hoping now. I'm just like, I don't want to really push it too much. I just want it to happen organically, and hopefully that some random person falls upon it and then follows it, listens to it, and then shares it.
And just for the fact that it is what it is, not necessarily because we're not famous people, like,
Oh yeah, exactly.
You see every famous person nowadays starts a podcast and it's like, oh, I'll follow them because they're XYZ, but we're just two guys having a good time. But then, if people genuinely listen and follow us, it's because they genuinely like the ideas and things we're doing, not necessarily that we're famous. So I think that's quite cool, and I'm excited for whatever comes, whatever the future may bring.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty keen on seeing where this all goes, and it's a good journey, man. I've enjoyed it so far. The creative process has been good, and to be fair, I probably should be focusing more on my work at some stage, but...
You're right. We'll do this for now.
I'll get around to it. I'm just procrastinating a little bit, so it's okay.
Call back to episode 2, so go back and listen to that. Probably a good chance to do a bit of a plug, so please feel free to follow us on our various social medias. We got an email at Gmail, so the DNM podcast at gmail.com, or our various handles are at the DNM podcast, so just connect with us there, Instagram, Twitter, and just have a chat to us, start the discussion. Feel free to question us or just share what you got. Yeah,
definitely. I'm looking forward to getting some other voices through here and discussing whether or not the topics are just as good or if not better than what we thought they were. So, once your mum gets a handle on the odd email, it'll be good.
But she's got it on her iPad, I think. She can do it.
Perfect. So,
all right. So
what are we up to for today?
So as the Maverick we coined, and I'm the Maverick this time round, and Hayden's the what do we call it?
The passenger, not co-pilot. Just
not the goose or the Iceman.
We should clean that up. We were thinking one of them died. We were thinking Maverick or Iceman died. Actually, it was Goose that died. We did watch that movie, and Iceman was the one who's cool, calm, and collected, and Maverick was a bit loose, but. We know what we're talking about. I'm
feeling a bit Maverick today because it is a bit loose. But today's topic is one I've chosen. I've chosen money. And I chose this because I had a few topic ideas, but I sat down and I thought kind of what's really relevant to me at the moment. What am I thinking about a lot? What do I want to do? And money was the one that won out. And it's because lately, well, not lately, currently I'm going through a bit of a change in my relationship status. I've ended a relationship, and we're now in the process of divvying up finances and assets and things between myself and my ex-girlfriend. So I've been thinking about money a lot lately. So I thought it was a very poignant time to maybe discuss money. And I also think it's something we don't often discuss. It's kind of like a quiet thing. No one, there's this old thing we don't ask people how much you earn or about their finances. But I think actually it's probably good to talk about it because you can learn a lot, and why hide all the stuff out of shame when there's a lot to learn and there's a lot that you could get out of discussing money with someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like my take on that is, so first of all, money's infinite, so you can never people can't get enough of it. You'll never be able to reach a limit where you have all of it. And in that terms of things like, you're right, I think people don't talk about it that much. And it's possibly out of fear of being comparison, because that's a direct reflection of just about you as a person and them as a person. So if they're earning more than you are, or if you're earning more than they are, and you tell them and they find out by how much, they might be thinking, man, I went to school with this guy. We studied the same stuff. I beat him in 5th grade algebra test.
And he's earning way more than
why is he earning 50k more than I am? So, man, like I personally, I don't care because, like, to me, money's like nothing, if that makes sense. Like I don't have a yearning for it. Like, sure, it helps pay the bills, but it's not something that I actively chase. It's just something that is given to me for fulfilling a role that I do. And personally, man, my take on money is like, especially around saving and spending. If you ask me, oh, bro, it's better to save your money. I'm going to say straight away, no way, spend it. Because at the end of the day, what are you saving it for?
The grave.
To spend it, man.
Yeah.
If you're saving it to buy that house, so if you want to buy something, buy it. That's my take on money. That's probably all I can contribute.
Done. All right. Yeah. That's the podcast over. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks. Episode 3. We're out of here. But yeah, man. But
Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about not comparing how much you earn to someone, and when you look up, because as I did a little bit of research, kind of the definition of what makes up money, part of it is what's it called, measure of value. So it in a way it does measure you could think of it as a measure of your value as a person or your job. So therefore, if you earn less than someone, you might think that you actually are a lesser person or you're valued less because you earn less. But there's usually so many factors that go into defining your wage and your income that you probably shouldn't really make it define you, but some people do, and that's why they don't talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's just, when you get into that comparison stage, it's something that you definitely shouldn't do. Like, everyone has their own self-worth, and like their importance is not above anyone else, but that you're right, it shouldn't define you as how well you're educated or how well off you are,
or how hard you work, or how valuable your job is, or how valuable you are as a person.
Oh, definitely, man, because if we put into context of like a teacher, so they don't get by any means stretch of the imagination a whole lot of money, even though people will say, well, you get a whole lot of holidays, but that job is not not valued. It's not easy. It's not valued. Like, everyone goes to school at some stage. Not everyone makes it through school, but everyone comes in contact with a teacher, for sure. And so you're like, well, being that they have an impact on pretty much 100% of the people that are out there in the world today, they definitely, I would say, would be undervalued. Is in terms of, and then opposed to like someone who's super rich, one person running a business who owns multi-million dollars, who like
How much value do they actually have?
and how many lives are they actually touching? Like, to be fair, how many?
Well, they might touch lots of lives, but maybe even in a negative way. You know, their business impacts negatively on the environment or people or their employers.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Yeah, as a teacher, I agree with your sentiment.
Even like nursing is the same. Like, they put in a horrendous amount of hours. They
police work, all those kind of hard jobs.
Yeah, and so they put in a lot of hours, a lot of work, and underpaid, and get a lot of abuse and all sorts of stuff. And, you know, and those are positions where emotions run high.
Yeah, and so valuable to the communities and the country and the world at large.
Yeah, definitely. So
are we really valuing them? Who knows?
yeah, well, that's the thing. I think we're talking about like what we're discussing on Friday at our own workplace. We're talking about equality and how you better match that. You know, it's like, well, and we floated the idea of maybe people get paid more for the actual time equivalent as opposed to getting a block of money for doing something called sport.
And when we discussed that, it wasn't even about the money. It was just about the recognition of your work.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was more the value that was imposed by the money, not necessarily the raw monetary value. So it was saying, hey, you are doing a lot of work, extra work. We appreciate that. Here's some extra compensation. So yeah, it's interesting, man. It's and I've never really been good at money up until probably 3 or 4 years ago, and definitely in the last couple of years when I've bought a house and had a big mortgage and stuff. It's really tightened me up, and I was very very relaxed with money, I'd say, early on. And as I said before, I took out loans and things when I shouldn't have, just for immediate gratification and immediate money. And having learned that now, I wish I hadn't, but that's a lesson I've learned, and I've moved on. But I've never been good, but I think I'm much better now. And there's definitely tricks and tips and things you can do to better yourself financially, which we'll get to in a bit. But that's kind of my thing, is I've never been good, but I feel like I'm a bit better now. So I've got both sides, because I've seen both sides too. Yeah,
man, I feel like I'm in the same boat, eh? Like university, I definitely did not. I lived in the moment for sure. Spent all my money every week. Made sure I had zero in the bank balance until next Tuesday. But now you're definitely like a lot better. A lot better for sure. I can say that for certainty. And I think that just comes with doing things in life, man. Like, I went overseas and moved away from my family. So then at that stage I had to get a house and sign a tenancy agreement and pay rent and then get a job.
Pay your bills.
And then pay the bills, and then
food.
And then when you've got no money and you've got to save up to get a car. So all these things, like, I think they train you to become better with money. Surely people don't necessarily take that lesson on board. But I think it's just, if you go travelling or if you have a flat, you learn how to become quite frugal quite quickly. And I think it's that life experience that makes you better.
I had a similar thing as you when I first went overseas, because my family I'd always had enough. My family aren't particularly wealthy, but I'd always had enough, and we never really went without anything. Looking back on, I was quite a lucky position. Not that my parents were super well off, but I remember when I first went overseas and I went to live in Australia, and after moving there I got jobs and things, but it was a while till I got paid, and I actually got down to my last $20. I remember it. And that's when I was like, oh shit, this is quite serious. And then from then I was way more appreciative of money, because I almost didn't have anything to my name. So that was quite a pivotal moment, and quite a it helped me mature quite a bit, I think, in terms of my finances and how I thought about money. And it definitely made me question things that I was doing financially for the better.
That's the thing, man. Like, as a child, you don't have money. Like, it just comes from your parents. You don't know where they get it from or how hard they're working to get it. So you don't understand the concept of, I don't want to say like money conservation or money savings, but just like appropriate use. And then balancing out that need and that want.
It harks back to that long-term gratification thing I think we talked about. It's like, you give a kid $10, it's like, you can buy lollies now, or if you keep saving your $10, you can buy this bigger ticket item that you really want, and they'll go, lollies now.
For sure.
And I agree, man. Like, I think no one, and nothing against my parents, I love them, but I think they never properly taught me about money. Like I had a savings account, and I think I had this little Westpac book where I used to write in, I got $5-10 or whatever.
Yeah, I had that.
But they never, I don't think I fully learnt about money until it actually happened to me, like in my late teens or 20s or when I moved out. But as a teacher, I am quite conscious of that. Have you heard of Banker?
Yep.
Fantastic. It's so awesome. So Banker, plug into Banker. It's awesome. It's
got the full URL just for the people who are out there.
I think it's just banker.co, I think. Yeah. BANQER. It's fantastic. It's like a simulation of finances and it teaches financial literacy to students. Excuse me. And so my class have it, and they get paid a weekly wage, and they do extra jobs and they get paid extra, and then I take off money for bills and utilities and rent, and they can buy houses and they can get extra jobs and buy cars, and it's amazing. I remember the first time I taught them about the minimum wage, they had no idea what the minimum wage was, and then when I said to them, okay, I'm going to tax you, I said I'm taking away 10, 15, 20% of your money. They were like, why? I was like, that's not how this, and we discussed it and we talked about it, and they're like, no, I don't want to pay that. And I said, you've got no choice. I said, if you want to use the roads and you want to go to school and you want to go to hospital one day, you need to pay that.
You want to have street lights so you don't get robbed and mugged.
But it was just so fascinating, and I can't blame them. They've got no idea, because it's the same thing. Like parents pay for things they don't always share, but I think it's so valuable, and so I hope that they learn a bit about it, as I wish I had of, and maybe I'd have a bit more money now if I had learned at a young age. Yeah,
potentially. Like I don't know, man. Like the friends that I have had at school. So I was in so similar boat. Like I wouldn't say we were well off, but I didn't feel like I was poor. But now that I think about it, we're hell shit poor, so poor. Now that I think about it, but that's another discussion for later. But like I had friends who whose families were just savvy with money. So like for example, while I'm getting the student loan, which I have to pay back, they were getting the student allowance because all of their stuff was in trust.
Yeah,
it's like how. It's like, wait a minute, that cat's got a vineyard at his house. How's that work?
How's that fair?
He's got millions of dollars worth of grapes that roll in every year, and and I've got to pay back this loan. But man, now I think about it, all fairness to him, he knows how to pull the strings and where the loopholes were. So I've heard I've heard from a few people, and actually my uncle was the first one that ever told me about this. And he said there's two people that know how to play the system, and that's the super poor and the super rich. And so everyone else in between basically has no idea and just goes with the flow and just works hard. So they're your average run-of-the-mill people. But super poor people know a lot of loopholes and how to get money, and super rich people also do as well.
I agree, man. And speaking of super wealthy, here's some numbers, and I just wanted to add a little bit of legitimacy to what I'm talking about. But this is just crazy. So if you haven't heard these numbers before, this will blow your mind. So Jeff Bezos, so he started Amazon, the company in America, the online shopping company. So his net worth currently is $108.2 billion US. And I think this is actually pre-divorce. So he's just divorced from his wife.
Yep.
And this is a crazy fact on its own, but when he divorces his wife and they go 50-50, she instantly becomes the wealthiest woman in the world just from the divorce.
That's amazing.
That is just madness. Anyway,
she played the long game there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, she's now super wealthy. They were together for a long time. So she was there pre-Amazon, I think.
That's probably her idea, to be fair. And Jeff just made it come to fruition.
So 108.2 US billion, so New Zealand dollars for us Kiwis, for us New Zealanders, is 170.4 billion. His net worth. So just to put that in context, this is how it is as a number. It's 170,000,000,000,000.
He's got
lot.
6-digit zeros, but he's actually got 9-digit zeros before he actually gets to.
He's got 10-digit zeros, before he gets to
10-digit zeros before he gets to an actual digit.
Yeah, it's just.
That's mental.
It's just, when you look at it as a number, it's just. And so I did a little quick maths.
Yep.
So he's 55 years old. That means I calculated he's been making $310 million a year since he was born.
Wow.
So 1 year old Jeff Bezos, 310 million, boom. 620, boom. And so that means 60 mil a week. $60 million for every week he's been alive.
How much money would he have saved? Like, if we're talking
Oh.
about tax loopholes, I bet he's got an ace accountant
Oh,
that has saved him probably
billions.
4 billion?
Probably billions.
maybe 5 billion, and he probably only pays that cat 1 million a year.
Oh, but it's worth it because he's saving billions. But yeah, so $12 million a day, just ever since he's been alive. So not even since he started Amazon or he started working, just every day he's been alive, $12 million. Now, when we hark back to and think about what money is and as a measure of value, my question is he actually that valuable?
I would say, as a person, and for what he has done, no. I would say, so it's like anything, man. So if you, and I don't know why I'm quoting Wolf of Wall Street here, but when that dude tries to sell the pen, it's like supply and demand.
Yeah.
So he's supplied something. There's been a huge demand for it, and people have gone and bought into their ethos. And I think it's the same with like. So it's quite interesting. So like, for example, cryptocurrency is a currency without actual money. Amazon was a shop without actual goods.
Yeah.
Because effectively it was just a marketplace. And there's another one. I can't remember what the other one was. The Barnes and Noble is a bookstore without any actual books.
Oh.
So it's like, it's just all these web technologies that have come along.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he's done something that's generated a lot of money. But it'll be interesting, actually. I don't think all of that stuff would be Amazon, would it? He would have invested after
Oh,
that.
surely. Yeah, you're probably right.
And so it'd be interesting to find out what Amazon is worth, and then
To track that.
yeah,
Because I guess there's no denying he's obviously a good businessman, and he started Amazon, so credit to him for that. We can't take away that.
yeah, he definitely would have put a lot of hard work in to get it going.
But the idea that he's worth 170 billion New Zealand dollars is just, it's got to be too much. When you hear these stories about his Amazon, warehouse workers who can't like take a bathroom break because it eats into their bottom line and all that, you got to take a step back and think, is it really beneficial to the planet? I guess this is capitalism. This is what's capable. And yes, he's the richest man in the world. Well, I'm not sure if he still is now, but by every value that we have in modern society, he's doing the right thing, I guess, in terms of what he's been paid. But I guess my argument as someone that will never even get probably 9 zeros close to that number, if you took away 9 zeros, probably won't even get close to that number of 170 billion. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just wrong and just too much. I'll say Jeff Bezos, you can have 170 million, but just take a few zeros off, man, and just share it around, please.
Oh, definitely. Like, what is it? What can he not do with 1 billion that he needs to have 170 billion for?
Yeah.
So,
I bet he's sitting in his house. He's like, damn, I really want a new TV, but well, if I only had another 100 billion, I could probably get it.
You know what, man? He's probably one of them. He's probably. I've never met him, so I wouldn't know. But, I like to know. Well, I don't know a lot of rich people actually, but the people who have more money than most, that are actually good people. Like, I don't know how many stories I've heard have come out of different people from Tom Cruise. They're like, Tom Cruise, the nicest bloke on the planet.
I've heard stories like this.
And I was just watching TV the other day of the Graham Norton show, and he's got a cake list, and he makes sure that people on their birthday, they get a cake every year. He doesn't have to do that, and he's probably not doing it. Maybe he just starts a list and his PR does it, or his PA does it for him. But all the information that I've heard from other people about him is like super good. Apart from the fact that he's in Scientology and he's creating a cult. And
that's episode 16.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day. But when I was travelling around Europe and I went to Austria and we stayed in a chalet, and the guy there, he was a ski instructor who was running the chalet, and he said that the chalet is for the celebrities because it's so high up. It's really private. It's in a spot where not many people can get to. And he said that Tom Cruise was the only one that didn't make him sign a confidentiality agreement. So he was, if he felt like it, he was going to say, he could say what Tom Cruise was like, how he was in person. He could share that information, and Tom Cruise didn't make him not share it. Whereas other people, he said there's a few big celebrities that he couldn't name that made him share them, and some of them are downright nasty, and he couldn't. He'd never teach him to ski again, or he said for one celebrity, he said, I'll teach them how to ski, but I'll point them in the direction of a cliff. Because they were horrible people.
Yeah, I do wonder how money must change people, I think, because it's just, like we say, when it's such a store of value, that having a lot of money must definitely change you, especially what you think about yourself and how you interact with others. You'd hope it wouldn't change people, but it must. It's so powerful that it just must. But I guess the way I look at it, I think this way because I'm someone that doesn't have a lot of money, but if someone does have a lot of money, especially when you're thinking like billions, I always think that they must have done something not right to get to that place, because how do you make $170 billion by just being like a really solid guy and doing the right thing every time? I don't know, to me, I don't know if you could.
Yeah, I think, there's two sides to every story, and I'm sure that someone's got a horror story about dealing with Jeff Bezos, for sure. Like, I bet he's got a contract that says you need to supply this much XYZ product, and when you sell it, I'm going to take 20% off the cuff. And it's not until they got the last line and they signed it, and then they're like, oh, dang, I'm giving away 20% of my profit here. Jeff Bezos is just listing it, So, you're right, man. He's probably done some stuff that I don't know if he's not proud of, or that he definitely would have done something that someone else... and it probably wasn't even him, He's probably the dude at the end of the day that just owned the company that happened to have the contract in place, and it was lawyers that did it. But 170 million, though, how do you accrue that? Like, I remember back in the day when the Y2K bug was going to hit, and we were freaking out because we were unsure if 99 was going to roll over to 00 or just shit its pants. So the fact that he can fit 9 zeros in a bank account, well, that's probably not a bank account, it's probably just all...
It's all over the place, probably.
Yeah, paper money, so actually...
Swiss bank accounts, gold somewhere.
Yeah, well, he's probably got in his bank, who knows, but Warren Buffett's up there with, like, being one of the most sound investors in the world. But then he said... this is a documentary. No, it wasn't a documentary. It was just a YouTube clip where he talks to university students or possibly high school students about life, basically, just things that he's picked up. And one of the things that he said is like, oh, people see me and they see my investment, and they think, oh, overnight success because it makes me XYZ many dollars upon what I purchase it. But he's like, to be honest, I may have followed that stock for maybe 3-4 years before the point where I've decided, yep, that's a good opportunity to purchase. Yeah, so he's done some proper research, and sure, the money going up and it coming in instantly is instant, and it looks like an overnight success, but he's actually put a lot of hard work and thought into it. And on the flip side of that, he said, I'm Warren Buffett. All you hear about is the good stuff that I do. No one reports on the investments that I make that don't make money. Everyone seems to think that all I do is make good choices. He's like, I can tell you now, I've made some pretty poor choices in my life. So, yeah, man, like 170 million or billion. Like, what is it going to take to cure? What is it? Not obesity. What's the opposite to that? You can't feed people.
Bulimia, anorexia.
No, it's not the sickness. It's the
starvation.
Yeah,
child poverty, something like that. Anything. Yeah. Polio. Well, polio's gone.
Yeah. So like, yeah, one of those. A few of those zeros followed or prefixed with a number would surely be handy to something. And I don't know, man. He probably does give away a lot of money. He wouldn't miss it anytime soon, I don't think.
He wouldn't even notice. I actually wanted to do the numbers on how much interest you'd earn on that, because it would just be phenomenal. And so therefore, even if he gave away... I mean, the sheer fact that it's 310 million a week, like you could give away 200 million a week and you'd still be pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, everyone ums and ahs about sports stars who make hundreds of thousands a week, or like
a game.
tens of thousands a minute per played game. So, the fact that he's making 310 million a week that's absurd money, considering that so he's making a third of what America pumped into their economy to keep it afloat in one night. He's making in a week. So he actually could he could pump $1 billion in and save that whole thing straight off the bat.
It's just no one should have that much, because this is the thing to me, is money is power, and no one should have that one amount of power. Like I was meant to jump in a bit by saying that I think too much money is bad because I equate it with power, and I know from personal experience, from having bosses and people in positions of power, whether they be higher up, employee rankings and things, and how much people let them get away with or kind of pander to them. The idea that someone with that much money can get, people must just totally pander to him all the time and just be his yes man and say things. And probably the only person that would call someone out like Jeff Bezos would probably be his wife.
Yeah.
And so if he's going to make a bad decision, even potentially for profit, so profit to Amazon or his companies or his benefit, everyone's going to go, yeah, that's fine. Hardly anyone's going to say, nah, that's going to impact blah, blah, blah. So to me, too much money is too much power, and that's too much power, I think, for one person to wield.
Oh, definitely, man. Like I keep saying, what do you need that much money for? Like, even the banks should just go, no, you've got too much money, bro. We're just cutting you off at $1 billion.
All the banks are very full of the motor sales to take on Amazon.
They've got to pay ridiculous amounts of money themselves on interest just to maintain it.
Yeah, that's true.
So how are they, well, it's actually suckers like us paying for our bank fees, transacting money to pay for his interest.
Yeah.
Man, he's got a lot of money. I don't know if it brings him true happiness, but maybe
that would be my retort to that. Would be, is he really happy? And well, yeah, I mean,
he probably isn't now that it's going to get halved real quick.
But even then, I mean, what would that be? 50 US billion. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, but it's not 170 billion.
There you go.
So, but yeah, he's probably getting divorced again now. 170 billion, 50 billion. That's all the same to me.
I make 310 a week. It's a few more weeks and I'll be back up.
So yeah, I don't. In terms of money, man, like I say, it doesn't mean much to me. Like I don't place it in an exuberant amount of emphasis on it. It's just something that comes and goes and that I use to pay for goods and services. You know.
That's precisely my mentality to it, and actually caused some friction with my past partner because we thought very differently about finances, and I was very much like you. I was like, well, we have to pay for X, Y, Z, and it's just part of life. And money goes up, money goes down, money comes in, money goes out. But she was very different. She thought very differently about finance, and it caused a lot of friction.
Yeah, I've got that with my partner too. Like, she doesn't really like me talking about the salary thing, or buying a house, for example, or what we paid for a car and what someone else paid for a car. For whatever reason, she doesn't like it. And, I came from a background where we didn't have a lot of money. I definitely appreciate having money beyond more than I need. But I've spoken about this with a few colleagues, especially over a beer, and we're talking about what you could actually live off. And if you got $1,000, I reckon everyone could live off $1,000 a week, which is $50,000. It's not heaps. It's not heaps of money, but I reckon everybody could do that.
You'd have to tighten your belt maybe on a few things. You'd have to make some choices, but it's doable.
Yeah, so we talked about it, and it's like, well, if you're making that much money, then it should be fine, and everyone should be able to get by. But you've got people making a lot less than that, and rent, for example, that seems to go up no end. I've never lived in a house for almost probably 18 years. I've never lived in a house where the rent's gone down. It's always gone up. And it's like, oh yeah, $10, that's all good. And then that $10 becomes the norm, and it goes up another $10. You go, oh, that's not too bad. And then you look back over time and you think, oh man, I've been here seven years, and my rent's gone up $250. At that stage, you're like, that's ridiculous money. But yeah, it's we're in a situation at the moment in New Zealand where we don't have a lot of housing.
Yep.
So people can't afford to buy new houses, and renting is the way to go, and unfortunately the people who own those houses can
charge what they want.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
I think sorry, just you talking about your partner as well, and I think I was the same with my ex-partner was, and the trap of money is that you can put a number to valuing things. So for example, the car example you talked about, if you go, we paid 10 grand for our car.
Yeah.
Whatever it looks like, whatever type, model, make, how old, how much mileage, but then you go, my friend paid 8 grand, and they think their perceived value is up or down because you can put a direct number on it, i.e. 10 and 8 grand. Yeah. It's really comparable. Whereas if you and a friend went to dinner and just drove cars next to each other, you'd just be like, they've got a nice car, or we've got a nice car, we don't have one, and they've got it, or they don't have a nice one. And you don't necessarily know the value, but when you put a number on it, suddenly you can define it and compare it really easily.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to do. Like you say, 1 and 10 are vastly different. So you could buy the same car, same model, potentially same case, and then one person gets it for 7, one person gets it for 10, and you're like, the one for 10 is worth more money. But no, you just didn't get as good a deal as a person who got it for 7. So while you're comparing them at that price point, like you say, the perceived value is actually probably where the actual value is, and probably why we think $170 billion is a lot. Jeff Bezos is probably like, it comes so quickly, I don't even care.
And it's like I was just out of curiosity looking at other houses for sale around my area, and I found myself going, that house is for whatever amount. That's worse than my house, but it's more value, or and so to put a number on it, it kind of probably played a few little mind games with me.
Oh, I can imagine, man. Especially because I've been looking for a house for a while now, a couple of years, probably 4 years. And actually probably should have bought one a long time ago. But that's a different story as well.
Procrastinating.
Yeah, I've been procrastinating on that. But, yeah, buying a house, and this is the thing in all the books that I've read about house purchases, is that any house, doesn't matter what house it is, regardless of how good or how poor it is, it'll be worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it. So if I think it's only 400,000, but someone desperately wants a house, and they can afford to extend themselves to 500,000, they'll do it because they want that house, and they think it's worth that much money. And no one's going to say, as much as I like to think that I went through a open home one day, and the people who owned it just happened to be there pretending to be lookers themselves, and then saw my little family and went, those are the kind of people I want in there. I want them to have their house for 450, just like we bought it when we bought it back in the day, and we bought it for 250. We're still going to make $200,000 on it, but someone else is going to rock in there and go 600,000 and go, well, I really love your family, but this is $600,000. So yeah, I don't know, man. Money's a tough thing, and I think we probably
overvalue it.
Yeah, value it too much.
Too much emphasis on it.
And people probably also align money with a job.
And so, money with happiness.
Yeah, and then they say when you're at school, you need a good job so you can get money to live the life that you want to live and be happy. And so I think it stems from that, man. It's so far back. And because you're right, we don't talk about it. Like my mum didn't really talk about money with us. She just always talked about being careful with money and buying things that you want. Yeah. Buying things that you need as opposed to buying things that you want. And that's it's been good for me in my life, man, because I've bought stuff and I value it much more. She used to make me buy my rugby boots, and I'd buy them and I'd polish those things every Saturday so that they looked brand new every weekend. And now I've got stuff that I buy, and I buy it once, and I can buy something really nice, and it'll last, man, because I know how to look after it.
Intrinsically, you got that.
Yeah, and I know how to, I don't know, wouldn't say I know how to pick things that are worth something to me, but when I buy things now, I buy things that I like, that I think I can look after and have for a long time.
And you probably buy for their intrinsic value, not necessarily their monetary value.
Definitely.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd spend a bit more money to get something of quality that's going to last you longer than...
definitely, that's it.
Then think, I need something cheap. My uncle, will only buy like Kmart brand shoes,
Yeah.
like no name brand shoes, and I'm pretty sure he's like stuffed his feet because they're not like properly insulated or not insulated, padded and things like that, and they're like shaped kind of wrong. But he refuses to buy like nice shoes. Whereas I'll wait for a sale, but I'll go buy proper shoes because they're gonna last, and I'll probably value them a bit more.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man, and I'm not going to rubbish Kmart because I love that place to death.
I do. I'm about to go there probably tonight. So
yeah, and shout out to staying open till 12 o'clock. That makes Christmas shopping so much easier. But yeah, man, like I kind of have like in that regard. You're right. Like I do buy things that I know things that I want to buy, and that I would prefer to have good quality, and I will spend that bit of extra money. But I've kind of got like a cap on things that I'll buy in life, eh? So like, for example, if I was to go and buy a new outfit, so from top to bottom, new t-shirt, shorts or pants, socks and some shoes, that whole get-up cannot be more than 150. So my cap on everything, and this is including hats too, because I love my hats.
Your cap on your cap.
Yeah, my cap on my cap. So my cap can, and this is fucked up, my cap I'll spend till about $50, and then a t-shirt, pants, short combo, they have to be 50 total, so 25 each. And it's better if I get like 2 for 30, because now I'm like, oh, I'm killing it right now. And then at that stage, like my shoes, I usually spend about $50 on a pair of shoes. And that's my cap for everything. And if I get them cheaper, I'm like, yo,
even happier.
Another
cap.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a beanie or something.
To be fair, the most expensive item, or the most expensive piece of clothing that I ever buy is actually hats, man. I'll spend a lot of money on them because I like them, and to be fair, they last forever. Like I wear them to death, and then I don't chuck them out until they're absolutely shot.
Yeah.
Like I've probably got hats that are older than children at school. No lie. Like I've got.
That's good investment.
Yeah, I could go back to. I think I've probably got a hat that I bought.
Hat history.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Hat history. That could be something. But I've probably got a hat that I bought at intermediate. That's older than the kids that are starting intermediate this year. So
that's an old hat. You've kind of preempted actually one of my things I wanted, and I wanted to end with this, but we can do this now.
Oh, yeah.
Was tips and tricks.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's one of them. A couple of things I suppose also learnt from experience, but things I've thought is relating to your shopping thing. When I buy things, especially clothes, I'll buy like 5 or 6 of the same item on special. So the other day I went to buy some shorts or some jeans, sorry, and I bought like 3 pairs of jeans on sale, same place, different styles, but same like size, same cut, because A, it was really on sale, and B, it just saves time. Because also we should have brought this up earlier as well, as time. I think money can also kind of be a measure of time as well.
Yeah.
So if the fact that I have to go every 2 months to buy a pair of jeans, that's actually time and money wasted on my part, because I have to go out there and it might not be on sale.
Try them on.
And right. So that would be one of my tips, and it's made my life easier anyway, because like for my job I have to have business shirts, and I buy the same size, same brand, just different colours, and I've got like 15 of the same shirt, so I don't have to think and go, oh, which one should I really wear today? They're all fairly the same. So that actually eliminates time in the morning, which then saves me time, which then I guess kind of equates to money, because time is money.
Yeah definitely. So and I think I got that from a friend of mine. His old man was a bit of an entrepreneur, and he was like, he'd get us to do stuff on the weekends. So like we'd pack up the watermelons that he grew in his crops, and we'd pack them up and sell them, and he'd give us a cut for getting up early and going down to the flea market on Saturday. And we used to give him so much stick about these board shorts that he loved, and just like, hey man,
they work.
Yeah, they're my favourite pair of board shorts. I love them. They fit. They're comfortable. And what do I need fancy shorts to wear around for? So it's like, oh, that's true. And I think that's just resonated with me at some point, and especially being from a background where we didn't have a lot of money, is that, you know, the stuff that you could find that you could keep for a long time was more valuable, even if it was like a $5 t-shirt from Kmart.
I agree, and I'll kind of contradict myself in a bit too by saying I agree with that. Like I often go for fairly, I don't have to buy the latest branded stuff. Like I don't even go to the big skate shops or the surf shops.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't go there. It's just not my thing. I'll go to like a men's store, like a common chain. But I'll also say as well that, and I think about this for money, is it is a bit of an investment. So you got to think about how much you'll get out of whatever you buy. So for example, for me, because I wear suits every day for my job, I bought not the most expensive suits, but I bought on sale good suits.
Yeah.
And for me, that's good value because they fit better, and I wear them every day, and I will wear them every day for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So if I spend a bit more money and I get a bit better quality that'll last longer and look better and fit nicer, then to me that's a worthwhile investment. I could just go buy the cheapest. Does Kmart even do suits? Maybe. I don't know. But I could buy...
Maybe. I would have put it past them, eh?
Yeah. I could buy a cheap Kmart suit, but the inherent value that I get out of putting a bit more money in for a better quality, better cut, better material is worthwhile to me. So I guess that would be my one tip too, is think about how much value, or even how much time it's going to save you, how much you're going to get out of your purchase. And for example, I just upgraded my computer and I got some new components. And because it's something I use so often, even though it was expensive to upgrade, it was worthwhile because I get so much more out of it in terms of my recreation, which is me playing video games or watching movies, but also my productivity and doing work. So my computer's quicker, gets more done, it's better. So actually that was a worthwhile investment too. And it was a bigger ticket item and it was expensive, but to me it's worthwhile.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I guess, are we, is this tips about money? Or tips about...
money, time, something like that.
Yeah, so like my tip for money would be not to buy into it. Does that sound random? Now that I hear it out, it sounds random.
Money, yeah,
don't buy into money. It's like, money's something that comes and goes, and there will be stages in your life where you're going to have it and you're not going to have it. And there might be a long period where you don't have it for a long time until you work out, that financial literacy that you were talking about earlier, where you learnt that, where you almost got to nothing and you're like, uh-oh, I can fix this, So, yeah, my thing would be, my motto in life has always been, if you have money and you want to spend it, because at the end of the day when you're saving it to spend it. But then I guess you need to recognise the difference between a need and a want. So that's something that my mum always said. She's like, oh, do you want it? And you're like, yeah, I definitely want the PlayStation 2. She's like, do you need it? I was like, probably not.
You go to my mate's house and play it.
And she's like, haven't you got tennis next week? And I was like, yep, sure do. She's like, don't you need a new tennis racket? I was like, I definitely need a new tennis racket. And so instead of getting a PlayStation, I got a tennis racket.
And not to say you couldn't have both, but at that time you had to make the choice. And
well, that's exactly it. She made me realise which one I needed more. And I eventually got the PlayStation. It was a little bit later in life, but I also had my tennis racket too that I'd put money into and looked after and still had. So, yeah, it would be to recognise the difference between a need and a want, and then don't place too much importance on money.
Because there's definitely so many things you want, but there's probably surprisingly few things that you need. And I'd add on to that by saying, and this is probably one of my biggest tips, is to have a budget. I think there's so many people that genuinely don't actually know how much they spend or what things cost. And for me personally, in going through this separation and trying to work out everything and having to budget to work out if my life can work out the way I want it to, I've had to do so many budgets. And I know to the T, like I know season by season how much my electricity costs because I've graphed it all and I've got spreadsheets on spreadsheets of income and expenditure. So
and it's not actually that hard, man. That's the thing. Though people go, oh, they can't budget, they're no good with money. It's like there's calculators out there for Africa that you can quickly punch in, how much you make, and then just play around with it. You can find out how much money you actually can have and have left over as residual. So yeah, budgeting's a good one, man. I do that.
I budget everything, and then if you're someone that likes spending money, like I used to quite enjoy spending money, but if you budget and you save some, but you budget to spend money, you're like I have, what do I have now? I'm kind of still working out my numbers, but I'd probably have maybe $100 a week that is entirely spending money, and I can spend it on whatever I want, no guilt. So I could go buy whatever for $100, and I don't feel good about it. That's my spending money, and so I don't. Because you don't want to do. It's kind of like dieting. Like you don't want to just give up everything and not spend money at all. Because you'll feel bad. You'll feel bad, and you and then when you do spend, you might spend way too much. So I allow myself to have some spending money, guilt-free, and I can spend it. And I can save it, and then maybe buy myself something $200 2 weeks later. But
see, that's the thing, man. If you budget and you put aside some to save, and you've got some to spend, you're going to find out that you don't necessarily spend that money every week either. So that money that you intended to spend, that also accumulates, and you end up having like more money to spend.
Yeah, and weigh things up. Like my brother's so bad. Love him as well, but he buys a lot of like takeaway food, and when you add it up, if he actually budgeted and added up how much he spends, he would probably spend quite a lot of money. And whereas I cook all my own meals, and so I don't know, it probably costs me like $2 to have a meal, and so I don't feel bad if I spend a bit more money because I've saved so much by eating at home and eating what I've cooked the whole time. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. I've got a brother too. He loves food, man. He eats out and he buys the expensive cuts of steak and stuff like that. And he's always been and to be fair, he pays it off too, but he's always been a ticket up kind of guy where he's had a credit card, he'll put everything on it and then pay it all off. You know, that's how he rolls. And there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat in terms of surviving with money. I think it's hence the reason for why there's so many different ways you can like structure a mortgage or, you know, a savings account. Or actually, on that note, another tip, pay yourself first. It's something I read a long time ago.
So how does that work?
So basically, if you budget and you find out how much you can save, and straight out of your pay, that goes to a savings account. You don't even see it. Well, you do see it if you keep an eye on your thing, but you're paying yourself first, man. So that's money straight to you. You know, look after number one first, and it helps. And I actually... For the people out there listening who want to get $1 million, it's actually quite easy. I've researched it. It's not hard. And you actually only have to save $500,000 and you can do it across 30 years. And the magic number is $200 a week, which is doable, like proper doable, especially if you're getting that $1,000 a week, I think. Because if you're flatting and, you know, rent's not as much, I reckon you could definitely put away $200
a week. Like
I do the same as you. And funnily that you mention 100, because that's what I work off. I do like 100 a week, because when I was at uni, that's what I could live off. So I was like, if that's what I can use as my like amount for spending, because the rest is tied up in bills or whatever, if I can do that, then I can do it now when I'm getting more money. You know, it helps my cause again. So pay yourself first if you can. Put away $200 a week into a interest account and do that for 30 years, and you got $1 million. It's that easy.
Easy as.
Yeah, man. Guys talked about it. I'll get the link for you and share it with you because I've saved it, and I always refer back to it because I always think, man, it's so hard, and then I just go back and think, oh, it's actually that easy, and it's not. You know, it's not hard. And the other thing about that is, what do they tack onto the end of that? Oh, so if you buy lotto, if you were to do that, you
$20 a week or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the time length, but if you to do 20 a week, which is what the average person spends on lotto, you can save like 200,000. And something like.
You win like second division lotto anyway.
Yeah, exactly. If you look after yourself, pay number one. So probably my tips, if we rehash them, is just don't have an attachment to money. Recognise the difference between a need and a want. Pay yourself first.
And mine would be save, but don't be afraid to spend money on something that saves you a lot of time, effort in the long term, and then make a budget. My other goal I was going to talk about, it's kind of a more practical one, but check what you're paying. Like, so once you've done your budget, you know, question. So for example, I've just gone through all my power, gas, internet, phone, all that, and I went through all of it and then checked what I'm currently paying against other competitors, and then I started playing them off against each other.
Yeah.
It didn't take me too long. There was a couple of phone calls and I'd say, hey, I'm paying this, can you beat it? And they'd go, yeah. Phone the next one, oh, they've offered me this, can you beat it? Yes, no, next person. And then eventually I got to what I probably think's, you know, some of the cheapest pricing. And I was talking to my grandma the other day, and she had like an exorbitant cost for like a winter month, and I said, you know, this is like way more than I pay. And I said, oh, I'll change you over, like I'll phone for you. And she's like, no, I'll stay with whoever, because I've been with them for years. And
it's a path of least resistance, man. She would have had to get a new bill, have a look at it, pay someone different,
find someone else and go something new. But don't be afraid to just try, just ask. You don't know until you try or ask. So phone around, check different people, and just ask what deals they have, or ask,
Yeah, definitely. Funny you mentioned that, man, because I'm like, after you told me about the power, I went and checked them too, and they come back cheaper, and so my company tried to keep me. They're like,
so it's win-win-win.
Yeah, what can we do to keep you? And I was like, well, can you get cheaper? They're like, no. I was like, what can you do for me? They're like, oh, well, we can put you on this plan. And I was like, still not cheaper. I think I'm going to go. And they're like, oh, we'll give you a credit. That'll cover the savings that you are going to make at this other joint. I was like,
sweet.
Okay, deal.
So you got something for nothing, basically.
Basically, I haven't changed anywhere. I'm still at the same place and
got credit.
Got some credit. So yeah, definitely shop around. And it's interesting that you say that. Like, you need to know where your money's going, because I recently just got a tax bill for $400, and I was like, why? I paid my tax, man. I got the right tax code. What's going on here? And then it turns out that my superannuation, when I first got back into the country, I went and got it. I was like, I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to go do this, get it done. And so that, at the time, I didn't have a job, so we'll just chuck you on the lowest one, because then you don't lose too much money. I was like, sweet. Fast forward 9 years. Yeah, I've been doing that for 9 years, and they've been paying me every year, and I've never knew, purely because I didn't ask and find out and know where my money was going. So yeah, hopefully I don't get that bill in 2020. Thank you very much, tax return. Yeah, Mr. Tax Man. But like, that's $400 that I could have kept, but I didn't, because I didn't know where my money was going. So that's a good point, man. Definitely.
And probably last thing, but it's kind of related to budget, but just set some goals. So especially when you make a budget and then you want to stick to it, you can say to yourself, hey, if we save this much in 6 months' time, hey, we can have a little overseas holiday or whatever it might be. So yeah, set yourself some goals, something to aim for would help. Yeah,
for sure. I agree with that, man. So yeah, so is that topic, what's this, episode 3 topic, money? Is that all we done and dusted, or
I think so, yeah. Honestly, I was a bit nervous. I hadn't written that much down. I was like, I don't know if we have
that was a good chat, man.
I actually had more to go through. Like, there's something I really want to discuss, which was universal or basic income, but I think we'll say that for another time. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I think you told me, is that by Joe Rogan? Does he talk about it?
Yeah, I think he does, and what's his name? Yang, the new presidential hopeful in the US.
Yeah. Andrew
Yang, sorry.
Yeah, he's in the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, because I was, when you spoke about the $1,000 a week, that's kind of like what he's aiming at. So maybe that's another episode for a different time.
Maybe me and him need a chat.
Yeah, well, let's get him on.
Yeah, Andrew Yang, we'll bring him up, eh?
Yeah, we'll text him. He'll be good with it. So, yeah, that's us for now. So, like we say, hit us on the socials. So Instagram, Twitter, email at the DNM podcast. Check us out on Patreon. Again, we're trying to get another mic so we can get some guests in. We desperately want to get like a third person.
Yeah, we want to talk to someone else. To be fair, you've been great chat, but
yeah, that's it. No, but it would be good to get another opinion, another voice. Done. So things like that, or some boom mics, or a real laptop for the podcast, not just a borrowed work one. Even though it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, just doing well, but
be nice to have a separate one.
It'd be nice to not use the work one.
Yeah, and we're both reading off our phones, so it'd be good to have a laptop to read off and check.
Well, at least a tablet, but bigger screen real estate.
There we go.
Yeah, we're talking.
So yeah, that's been the podcast, episode 3, and join us on our social medias, have a chat. So yeah, feel free to talk to someone about money. Don't be afraid. If I can share a last little story, I remember I was talking to someone about money, and they just outright asked me like how much I earned for a certain job, and they were working a similar job. And then when I told them, they're like, "Nah, that's not right. You should ask for more because I'm getting this and I'm basically doing the same thing." And if they hadn't have got that out, I mean, we hadn't just openly talked about it. I did go ask for a pay rise and I did get it, but if they hadn't have been open and shared it, I probably would have been on the same thing I was. So don't be afraid to talk about the stuff. It's money. It's everyone has learnt lessons and things, and just talk about it because it's good, and you'll end up better off, and you'll probably, if you can help someone or share advice, I think that's worthwhile too. So yeah, don't be afraid to start the conversation. So that's it for episode 3 about money. It's been a real pleasure. I'm Matty.
I'm Haydn.
And we're DNM.
Feel free to slide on in.
Cool. See you next time.